I will send it over to you for our Sounders.
Yes, so the Sounders here are now in, I mean, nothing necessarily too big. The rumors continue for the Sounders. I mean, it's kind of interesting because it's more rumors than news here. We'll get to the real news itself first. The Sounders send Reed Baker-Whiting into the U19 U.S. men's national team camp. The U19 youth national team will begin 2023 with a training camp down in South Florida. So good for the young homegrown player there. In terms of we'll get to the rumors here. I know that we last reported on, Aaron Long potentially joining this team when we had our last episode. On the 3rd, there were multiple club insiders that confirmed that there was some interest there. Later in the day, Long would sign with LAFC. So the MLS Cup champs, the reigning champs, add another key player, which is just great, isn't it? And Seattle misses out there. Jordan Morris on the 5th was rumored to be nearing an extension. As things stand now, it sounds as if the Sounders are expecting to sign him to an extension eventually. There are obviously variables that are in play. It sounds like Morris still wants to play in Europe again at some point, but it doesn't sound like that's going to be something in the imminent future. As well, another rumor, the same day, the club was interested in acquiring Pumas striker Juan Ignacio Dinenno, but no advanced progress has been made. He's a 28-year-old forward who has scored 36 goals in Liga MX across 4 seasons. He was a big part of Pumas's CCL tournament run against the Sounders, actually, and his name came up quite a lot against us. I believe he scored 3 times against the Sounders in those 2 games. So it just... Take the news about Long, who's kind of a coveted free agent or was, Dinenno there, and extending guys potentially like Roldan and Morris. Those 2 haven't gone official yet, but they're rumored to happen, and it sounds like they're happening. They're being finalized. It just sounds like, with the sort of aging roster that Seattle has and missing the playoffs last year, a lot of people thought that they might rebuild. I think we talked about this last week, but all things considered, with all these rumors, it sounds like Seattle is remaining in their contention window and trying to stay in that contention window. Hebert, who they brought in from New York City FC and began training with the club after being acquired via trade, is a 31-year-old forward. You don't acquire a 31-year-old forward, ideally, if you're rebuilding. I don't know, Bel, if you have seen that in rebuilding. Yeah. So, but I mean, it sounds like these are win-now scenarios for Seattle, which is a good thing. But with Dinenno, it sounded like Seattle kind of balked. They're like, they inquired to say, hey, how can we get him? And Pumas gave him an offer gave an asking price that Seattle did not want to afford. And they're like, oh, I'm going to put it back. Like when you're at the store and something's way too expensive and you feel awkward and you don't want to put it back in front of the person that you asked. So you carry it around for 10 minutes. That's what I do, at least. I'm sorry. I'm very awkward. But with Long, sucks to lose out on that. But also, you would have had to trade or transfer Javier Arriaga, which sounds like the Sounders might still be doing anyway. So I don't know. I'm just happy to see that it's not in a rebuild necessarily. I can't necessarily say that it impacts much of what we do because we're going to cover it regardless, right? But it's interesting to see that they want to stay in this contention window with everything that's happened to the club over the past year. So there's that as well. We look at league notes. I talked about LAFC, and this one's just kind of funnier than anything else. Earlier today, Gareth Bale announced his retirement just a year after getting paid by LAFC. He won MLS Cup with them just a few months ago. On July 12th, when he was acquired, he said, he basically said, this isn't just a quick stop for me. Things changed, I guess. Won MLS Cup, great career in the bigger leagues, and now he's done. So I guess good for him. Spent a year in LA, said I'm out of here. Thanks for the vacation year. And didn't even play that much with LAFC. So I don't. It's just kind of funny.